Everybody, welcome back to this episode of Think Biz Live. I'm looking forward to talking with Billy Price, co-founder of Billy Footwear. Billy, it's great to have you on the show today. I want to share a little bit of your story as we dive in. As a teenager in Seattle, you suffered a spinal cord injury and became paralyzed from the chest down, losing your ability to move your fingers, and daily tasks became difficult. But by using your creative mind and unyielding spirit, you never gave up. You continued with determination and tenacity. And born out of a need, Billy Footwear was founded on the principle of inclusion and perseverance. You have a co-founder, Darin Donaldson, and you strive to add value to the lives of others and make a measurable difference in the world, one foot at a time. So I loved your story, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you and hearing a little bit about it. But I want to go back a little bit as a teenager. What was that moment like? When you went through your situation and realized that you were paralyzed.
Wow. Well, first off, thanks so much for having me on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is an honor. Yeah, that's a big question. Because there's so many factors that were kind of going into that particular moment. Because I mean, growing up, I was a really fiercely independent kid, played lots of sports, played in the outdoors, and just had this very independent type mindset. And I fell out of a 3-story window, and really, it was a head first fall to concrete. And in that moment, I mean, my life changed instantaneously because I broke my neck, I broke my lower back. It was a spinal cord injury in both places. And those that are familiar with spinal cord injury, it leads to paralysis. So in that moment, I really became paralyzed from the nipple line down, which affected all of my limbs. I'm in a wheelchair now, and I mean, I can move my arms and stuff, but my hands, I can move my wrist, but not necessarily the dexterity of the fingers. So really in an instantaneous moment, I went from someone that was very independent to all of a sudden someone that was very dependent.
Yeah.
And, the rehab for an injury like that, for me at that time, I was an inpatient in the hospital for 5.5 months. So, while you're in the hospital, you're basically trying to sort out what's happening in the now and what the future is going to look like. So that's like what wheelchairs and replace my legs, like how to brush my teeth, how to comb my hair, how to write my name. And can I just push myself across the floor? And then bigger picture is like looking to see what's on the other side of the fence when you get out of the hospital. So that's the stuff I was kind of grappling with in that particular moment.
Yeah. I'm sorry you had to go through that. That must have been, even more traumatizing than how you describe it. I can't even comprehend, but I do want to touch base on your independent mindset, because I think sometimes, our mindset doesn't just go away. Right. And so how did that pull you through?
Well, yeah. The funny thing about it is like, yeah, I had an independent mindset, but in that moment, my world just imploded. So that independent mindset all of a sudden went to like just this mindset of darkness.
Yeah.
And I was really feeding myself poisonous thought because all I could think about was the stuff I used to do and like the why me. And I mean, even to the point where I'm saying to myself, it's not worth living if I can't walk. So it's that type of poison that I was like feeding myself. So it's really like the culture around me that friends and family that they really saw potential in me where I wasn't seeing it in that moment. And they allowed me to choose to change. And then it's like, you know what? I still, when I'm alive, like a head first fall to concrete, 3 stories, that typically doesn't work out in your favor. So the fact that I'm still alive, that put a smile on my face. And I realized that I still had my mind. And I felt that I could still contribute. So with that, it was a matter of focusing or shifting my focus on what I lost instead of focusing on what I still had.
Yeah.
And that's when more of that independent type mindset came back into the fold, where it's like, you know what, let's try to put these pieces together and figure out the best way to move forward with the tools that I'm given.
Yeah. I love that. What a journey that sounds like, and what a journey it must have been. I want to talk about how the mindset of you feeling like you could still contribute, and just kind of move it into, kind of the purpose in which kind of your company is umbrellaed under, which is to add value to the lives of others and make a measurable difference in the world, 1 foot at a time. And so, just talk to me about just the energy of contribution and how you channeled it into the creation of this company and mission.
Yeah. Well, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
So and another thing I think that just to like illustrate some context here, this wasn't an overnight play. I mean, when I was in the hospital, that was 1996. When we formed our company, that was 2012. So there was lots of water flowing under that bridge for many, many years, and me tackling lots of demons to get there. But I will say that I felt there was more in me, and I know that when I was an inpatient in that hospital, there were so many people coming in to help me. It like that attitude and that drive to try to help others. I think that was more of me trying to reciprocate, all of the help that I got when I was like really in my darkest moment ever. And then plus the fact that I was still on this planet, it just felt like I had dodged death. And then I realized that, we only get one shot at it. So let's try to make every single day count. And how best can we do that? And it's like, all right, well, let's try to help others. And I didn't really know what kind of form that would take on. I had no idea about shoes. I mean, in that moment, way back when. But after graduating from school, after I got out of the hospital, I went back to college, and I got a mechanical engineering degree, and then went and got a job with the Federal Aviation Administration as a mechanical engineer. And then I kind of was there for about 16 years. And on the back 3 of that journey, I teamed with my longtime friend, Darin Donaldson, and we just kind of threw this idea together about shoes. Because on my whole entire journey, I'd figured out how to do a lot of things, but the one thing I never sorted out was shoes. And it was a matter of having to shove my foot into a shoe. So the idea was to create something that you could drop your foot in unobstructed, have like more of a wraparound zipper where it opens up, you drop your foot in. And we didn't realize if that would ever take traction. I mean, the initial goal was to come up with something for me. And as we started sharing it, there were a lot of other folks that got excited about it. So in that moment, Billy Footwear, that was the first steps of Billy Footwear. And it was just kind of a side hustle, and it turned into our main hustle.
It's amazing. And so talk a little bit about, kind of having an idea. I think a lot of people have ideas, and not a lot of people actually execute on the ideas, right? I mean, it's a lot of work to actually bring an idea to life and then actually create a product and then market the product and sell the product. And so just talk a little bit about the journey of that.
Sure. So when Darin and I first talked about it, coincidentally, he was working on his own shoe project. And he just kind of took it upon himself to challenge himself to learn how to make shoes and get connected to the right people that can actually make a prototype, and like how to make a tech pack to be able to send to a factory to make some sort of model, some sort of sample. So when Darin was telling me about this, that's what really got me excited. So when I threw an idea of like just having a wraparound zipper, he already had some people in place that we could actually execute on that idea. But then once we had the widget and he gifted it to me, I tried it on, and I was 36 at the time. I broke my neck at 18. So like literally half a lifetime later, that was when I was able to, put my shoes on independently for the first time in 18 years. And it was really that moment was so darn special. We knew we had to share it. So to your question, saying like, all right, well, you have this idea. How the heck do you move forward? That's really when the grind started, going like, well, where do we start? Yeah. And the idea was like, all right, well, let's try to start small. And we like, all right, let's go to a bank to get a loan. And well, that doesn't work because it's a very high risk market. So what you end up having to do is you have to bootstrap it yourself. So this truly was a side hustle where Darin and I are working our full-time jobs and earning money on the side to be able to help our business. And then any money that was, earned through the business went back into the business to get more product. Yeah. So it was just a lot of sweat and blood and grinding for years until we actually got connected to the right people that could, get us onto the shelves of major retailers. And that was in August 2017, where we're on the shelves of Nordstrom and Zappos. So I would say really it was a matter of starting to understand the product, understand the process, get teamed with the right people and start networking. And then slowly but surely we kind of got there.
Yeah, I love that. It's there's no, in my opinion, and as a business coach, there's no overnight success, right? It takes a long time. What's one thing that you learned about yourself through all of this?
I would say the ability to endure.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't stop. Because the thing is, it's funny when we tell our story, it just seems like this nice linear path.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, this is our plan. We're going to start a shoe, and then like we're going to go through, and we're going to get all these retail partners, and we'll start gaining more people, and or more people to join the team, and we'll do a marketing campaign. It just seems like this nice linear progression. But my gosh, I mean, there were so many days that we didn't even know we would survive the day.
Yeah.
We had no idea how the day would even end. And like financial crunches, like here and there, and big failures where like we send it out and we work with this factory and it seems all well and good. And then all of a sudden you receive the product and all the product is bad and you just can't even sell it. And just huge financial blows. Yeah. But it just seems like every single one of those hurdles either galvanized us and like, it was more like, well, obviously we're getting resistance because we're on the right path. I mean, that's what we've been telling ourselves. Or like all of a sudden, instead of some sort of failure, it was incredible because it seemed like each one of these big challenges all of a sudden was an opportunity for something even bigger. Yeah. It just forced us to, every time it's like, all right, we're going to throw in the towel, we're going to keep going. We just opted to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And, it's been working out.
Let me ask you a question. You mentioned the word endure. Here we are talking July 21st, 2022. COVID, these last couple of years have been very difficult for people to endure, different for different people, whether it is, the social isolation, the fear of having and or getting COVID, what it did to their businesses. There's so many different things. And so, having been through things where you've had to really endure since a teenager, what's your advice when you kind of talk to people about what endurement means to them and how to really kind of put things in perspective?
Right. Well, for us, I mean, during that time, I can really touch on like just COVID, really like 2020 when everything started shutting down. The team had to work a lot harder, that's for sure. And the only people that were coming in the office were those that were doing fulfillment. And so they were enduring in terms of like just having to put more hours into it. Cause I mean, nobody was going anywhere. And then the other part of it was just a real mental game. So we as a business, we really doubled down on building up relationships, building up those networks with our direct customers, with our retail partners and stuff to really just like open up these conversations, knowing that maybe sales aren't necessarily going, but everyone is just rattled. I mean, we were rattled, the planet was rattled. So it's just a matter of trying to be able to create more of a community and just to be able to share and like just we would all kind of build ourselves up. And then when we all kind of started getting more of a comfort level of the new norm, we were all able to kind of, step into that new space. Yeah. And in terms of a business, things definitely kind of went on pause in terms of sales and stuff because everyone's being more frugal and rightfully so, just because of the uncertainty. Right. But then when everybody started getting more confidence, the sales came roaring back. So I think to your question, like about endurance, I think it takes on multiple different forms. I mean, with both the physical side and the mental side, but I think it really kind of comes back to just understanding where you're at and then doing the best you can just to move forward one step at a time.
I love it. Tell the Think community who your ideal clients are.
Yeah. So I love that question because the story, I mean, it came from this inspiration of, the original client was myself. I couldn't put my shoes on and we wanted to create something that would work for me. So it came from more of like an adaptive side. And there's lots of folks out there that use it as more of like an adaptive shoe because of the functionality, that ability to drop it in. But our audience, and forget the cliche, it really is everybody. I mean, because it's a functional shoe. We took fashion and function and smashed it together. Because I mean, really, everybody loves a convenient shoe. I know now as a parent, getting our 3.5-year-old out the door. I mean, he can get his shoes on without trouble whatsoever. And for him to be able to get out the door faster, I mean, that's always a check in the win column.
Yeah.
So the kids market is very, very strong within our business. And I think one, because it's kind of low hanging fruit, it makes a lot of sense. They're trendy colors. But I think also it's because we've been doing kids the longest. When we first entered the market, we started with kids. And because of the success of the kids, it allowed us to expand into more of the women's and men's department, which we're building up right now.
Yeah. So cool. It's cool. I mean, it's a great product. They're cool shoes. I love them. All right. You ready for a quick speed round?
Yeah, you bet.
All right. A book that's had the biggest impact on you.
Oh my gosh. There's a couple of big, well, shoot. I mean, I'm not doing so good on the speed round, am I? Like grit, growing mindset, just compound effect. I mean, some of these really building.
That's one of my favorites by Darren Hardy. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's just a matter of like starting small and like just being consistent. And I mean, that's really the name of the game. And it's just like adding value to others, and it reciprocates back to you. So I named a few, but there you
go. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
My dad always said when I was growing up, he was like, don't quit. I mean, when you fall down, get up. And it's like, you get punched in the face, get back up. And I would say that was like some of the best advice that I ever got. But I would say that later in life, I kind of looking back on it, I think it was missing a part. It's not a matter of like you get punched in the face, just get back up, because if you keep going up and down, you just turn into a punching bag.
Right.
It's a matter of like, get back up, but like understand what knocked you down and then make an adjustment and then move forward. So
I like
that's kind of the don't quit side, but don't quit, but also reflect on why you flopped.
Good. Yeah, no, I think that's great. Finish this sentence. One thing every person should do who has an idea is.
Everyone has an idea. Share it.
Yeah. I think that's great advice, because I think a lot of times people don't share it, so they can't get kind of that real-time feedback and kind of see. Everybody's sometimes so nervous that everyone's going to steal their idea, but it carries the idea and the frequency and the vibration of where you're coming from. Nobody can steal, the whole concept. I guess somebody can, but it's really, I think that's great advice. I feel the same way. This has been great. I'm a business coach, and my goal in life is to help as many people. I work with successful people, and who are stuck, I get them unstuck. And what I love about having a podcast is I'm able to bring in guests who can help people continually get unstuck, whether it's in their business or their mindset, whether it's in, however it basically appeals and wherever they're stuck in their life. And, your story is one that I think will resonate with a lot of people, to get them unstuck, to really just kind of put things in perspective, and to endure, and to, reflect, and to keep going. So I appreciate, your story. I appreciate your time. And I love the business that you've built and continue to build. Think community, BillyFootwear.com is where you can find Billy shoes. Billy, tell everybody anywhere else they can connect with you.
Yeah. So on social, our social handle is @BillyFootwear. We keep it simple on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and the whole gamut. But BillyFootwear.com, that's the website. That's the mothership. But on that website, there is a drop down. There's a tab that says store locations. And if you click on that thing, you can see all of our different retail partners. So we're in Nordstrom, Zappos, QVC, Target. We just launched with Kohl's and DSW. So there's lots of different places you can go.
It's great. It's great. Well, thanks for being on the show. Think community. If Billy can help you guys, BillyFootwear.com. Thanks, everybody. Billy, that was great. Thanks so much.